Hi, everyone. It's Joe Veneri, the host of Fit Insider, the show where I talk with the entrepreneurs, executives, and investors who are redefining the business of fitness and wellness. Today, I'm joined by Ally Davidson. Ally is the co-founder and co-CEO of Camp Gladiator. In today's episode, I talk with Ally about scaling Camp Gladiator from one class to 4,000 locations, increasing access to fitness, and the role community and technology have played in growing the business. I had a great time chatting with Ally, and I hope you enjoy listening. Let's get into it. Hi, Ally. Welcome to Fit Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to chat today. Really excited to, touch on all of the things that Camp Gladiator has been able to accomplish and kind of the scale that you've reached. But I think just to get everyone on the same page and the listeners some context, can you explain, what the Camp Gladiator concept is and give us the sense of how big the company is today?
Yeah, so we do outdoor group fitness, basically boot camp style workouts. And currently we've got around 4,000 locations nationwide with about 1,000 trainers and about 100,000 campers is what we call our participants. And it's a lot of fun. It's I'm sure we'll get into the programming a little bit more in a bit, but it's designed for all fitness levels, go at your own pace. And it's a fun, challenging, positive environment that we try to create. And we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know we were talking a little bit about this offline, just that, at some point, I feel like for folks who are fitness instructors, personal trainers, at some point they start teaching fitness classes pretty much anywhere that they can, whether that's a park somewhere or somebody's home, maybe they're, subleasing a space. You have a unique story with how the company got started. Can you tell us about the American Gladiator experience and how that became Camp Gladiator?
Yeah, so kind of a funny story of how it all started. But basically, when I was 24 years old, on the day of my wedding, I snuck off with my bridesmaids and we kind of went missing, like a runaway bride type story. And my sister had told me, hey, there's tryouts for the TV show American Gladiators right down the street from your church. We should go do this tryout. So this is back in 2008. And this is when they brought back American Gladiators. The host was like Hulk Hogan and Layla Ali, and so they were having the tryouts all around the nation, and Austin happened to be one of those spots. And so I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! We got to go do it." So, we left. Like I said, we snuck out of the house. Nobody knew where we went. My future husband Jeff, he had no idea what was going on, and it was all a pretty funny deal. Well, by the time we get to the tryouts, there's like 2,000 people in line. And so my sister's like, oh, there's no way we can wait in this line. And then she's like, what have I done? Allie's going to want to wait in this line and miss her whole wedding. This is a disaster. And so we came up with the idea to basically throw on my veil and my garter and run up to the front of the line and beg the producers to let me cut, because I had to get to the church. This was literally just a couple hours before my wedding. And of course, everybody in the line thought that I was lying, but I wasn't. It was real. And so they let me cut. They let me do the tryout. I did really well in the tryout, and they, of course, loved the story. And so I finished the tryout, and I literally sprint down the street back to the church. And I have just enough time to basically throw on my dress, put on some quick makeup, and walk down the aisle. And I told my husband, Jeff, after the wedding ceremony, when we were getting announced into the reception, I was like, hey, babe, guess what I did today? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Your hair, your makeup, hopefully you prayed about our marriage. I was like, yeah, well, I kind of did some of that stuff, but I also tried out for this TV show. And so we went on the honeymoon, and, Jeff was kind of making fun of me the entire honeymoon. He's like, hey, you better go work out. You're going to get chosen for that show. And, honestly, we both just thought it was a fun kind of last thing to do before my wedding. And we didn't think anything would actually come of it. Well, the day we got back from our honeymoon, they called and said, we want you to come out to LA for 6 weeks to come film the show. And so I head out to LA. And if you can imagine telling your new husband, hey, I got to go leave you for 6 weeks to go film this show. It was a very interesting time in our marriage. But he was fully supportive. So I went out there, was doing the tryout, and I got to spend a lot of time with the producer of the show. And I was telling the producer about how athletic and awesome my new husband was, which he is. And so long story short, I basically talked them into letting Jeff come try out with me. And so he got to do the tryout as well. And we ended up both making it on the show. Obviously, he competed with the males. I competed with the females. But they kind of did some fun, wedding, episodes featuring us both together. And so, yeah, Jeff made it to the semifinals, but got knocked out there. And I was fortunate enough to go on and win the grand championship. A little bit of money and a little bit of, publicity that came with that. And that was back in 2008. And so that kind of helped us launch the business, which at that time we didn't know that we were going to be launching a business. And, it just kind of, we say God put all the pieces in place to make it all happen. And it was a crazy story of kind of how we got started.
Yeah, it's really incredible to think about how that happened. And you mentioned in 2008, all this happens on your wedding day. The intention certainly wasn't that this would turn into a business in any way. But in doing some research for this, I read that, you used having one American Gladiator to launch the company and say, hey, I just did this. If you want to work out with me, basically I can train you and let's work out together. And what happened as, folks saw you had that little bit of publicity, and then things started rolling?
Yeah, so basically after I won the show, there was about 4 months where we couldn't tell anybody what had happened because the show hadn't aired yet. And so during those 4 months, I was like, man, what am I going to do? I really felt a calling to do something with the opportunity. I felt like we were put on that show for a reason. And I wanted to make sure that we, capitalized on that. And my background and my whole life has always been about sports and fitness. I played every sport in high school. I played basketball in college. I mean, as soon as I graduated college, I was taking any type of fitness program you could think of. That's just what my passion, always has been. Well, at the time, I'm 24. I just graduated college. I kind of had my first job out of college and it was going fine. But after you've been playing Gladiators, and been on that show, and been filming it for so long, that normal job doesn't seem as fun anymore. And so I'm like, man, there's got to be something out there. And so we came up with this idea to basically open up our own outdoor fitness program based on my background in sports and fitness. And really that kind of background really helped us kind of launch it, knowing that, hey, we really want to create this team environment that's based kind of off of like a lot of sports conditioning classes and workouts that I'd done over the years. And at that time in 2008, the military style of boot camps were very popular. And that's when, somebody would be in combat boots, yelling at people. And those were kind of popular at the time. Well, I knew I couldn't pull off some military style boot camp. That's not who I am, not my background. And so that's where we kind of brought in that sports component, that team component, that fun component to it. So we launched the business. Basically, the day that the grand finale aired, we kind of got everything lined up, a website, flyers printed. I was, securing locations. And then as soon as the finale aired, we made the announcement, hey, I would love to train you. Come work out with me. I'm the American Gladiator Grand Champion. I want to help you get in great shape. And that definitely helped kind of get some momentum going at first, but, obviously it was a huge help. But at the same time, I tell all of our trainers to this day, no matter what, even if you've been on a TV show or you haven't, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to pound the pavement and you're going to have to hustle and you're going to have to do whatever it takes to get people to actually sign up and show up for your camp. And so it was a lot of me just getting out in the community, networking, talking to people and personally inviting them out to camp. And we launched with 40 campers the first month and they fell in love with the program. They invited their friends out the next month and I was continuously marketing what we were doing. And the following month we had 60 campers. The following month we had 80 campers. The following month we had 120 campers. And then ever since then, we've just been super blessed that people have really love the experience, and it's continued to grow over the last 11 years.
Wow. And thinking back, you're someone, you mentioned you're on the show, you have that little bit of fame, whether or not, that's sustainable, you have to continue to work at this. But, it could be easy for someone who's young and been in sports and now has this little bit of, publicity to think, wow, I can just continue to teach these classes. I can take this money and, use it however I see fit, maybe build up my personal brand. When did it click in your head that this is not going to be Ally who teaches every class and it's all about her, and you focus solely on that versus what you've done and saying, hey, we're going to get other trainers on board. We're going to have other locations. This to some extent can scale. What was that like in your mind? And when did that even start to happen?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that was one of the most important pivotal moments of building the business. And so, like I said, the first handful of months, we were seeing some really great success really pretty early on. And I was able to start making, pretty good, income that I could, justify leaving my other job for. And so I was full-time doing this. And Jeff and I, like I said, at about the fourth month, we had about 120 campers, and it just kept growing every month. And what we started to realize is, holy cow, we've got a legit little business going here. And it takes a ridiculous amount of work, literally every minute of every day, to just run this business, from charging people's credit cards to doing the customer service to leading the workouts to doing the marketing and the sales. And at that point in time, I'm doing all that all day, every day. I mean, I'm doing all the office work, plus I'm the trainer. And so it was a tremendous amount of work. And so early on, we started to recognize that this was an interesting thing, because most trainers are not, either equipped or gifted at doing all the back end office side of things. And, luckily my husband is great at a lot of the things like the technology side and the financial side. And so him and I have partnered, since day one. But that's a lot for a trainer to handle on their own and to grow this business. And so early on, we kind of, started thinking of this concept of like, well, what if we created a platform where we took care of the headache sides of the business for trainers, and we could create a platform where they can focus on doing what they're great at, which is leading camps, which is doing local marketing, local sales, building relationships in their community. And we kind of take care of, the legal and the insurance and the customer service and all that, the technology and all that side of things. And so that became apparent to us really quickly as we saw success early on, that there was probably a need for other successful trainers to have a platform like this where they could succeed. And then along those same lines and around that same time frame, a really kind of crazy thing in our life happened. We started the business in Dallas, but I'm from Austin. And I always wanted to obviously move and expand it to Austin. Well, my husband got offered basically a promotion in his job. He was a financial planner at the time, to become the branch president of the Austin office. And so we were like, man, this is maybe meant to be here. And what if this is our opportunity to expand CG to another city? And so that's exactly what we did. And we knew that if we were going to expand to another city, then that meant we obviously had to have more trainers. And at that time, you're correct in saying it was just all about Ally leading the workouts, and the branding was mainly around me and Ally and all that. And so we said, you know what? We need to really build up the brand of the company of Camp Gladiator, and not make this about one trainer, but make this about, the entire company and the platform and, the entire experience overall. And so that's really where we started to change things and really build out the Camp Gladiator brand.
Yeah, it's incredibly smart, and obviously has paid dividends. When you dig in a little bit deeper to the model, there's really, two things that stand out. It's that you're creating this platform for other trainers, but really it's outdoor workouts where you're utilizing, for the most part, underutilized spaces, paying certainly, whether that's to use the park or maybe working with a church or a parking lot somewhere to let them use this space. The overhead is low, so you're able to minimize costs that way. But on the other side, there's also you have to get people to show up. You have to stand out from a crowded fitness landscape, whether that's the traditional big box gym, boutique studios, now technology, connected fitness, all these different things. So I know that it's kind of a loaded question, but going down the path of that outdoor fitness, utilizing these spaces, what does it look like to activate a new market?
Yeah, well, so the biggest answer to all that is you got to have the right people. And so obviously with doing what we do in the outdoor space, there's a lower startup cost. And so there's the potential of having a lot of competitors. But the thing that we knew that we had to have was we had to have the best of the best trainers wearing the same Camp Gladiator jersey and building this business together. And so, really we pride ourselves on having very high brand quality standards. It's very difficult to get offered a partner trainer contract with Camp Gladiator. And we really get to know our trainers before we offer them those contracts to come on board with us. And really what we're doing is we're partnering with them. We tell them, we're like, hey, you are an entrepreneur with us. And really a lot of our payout structure with them and our partnership with them is based on that partnership. And so we really empower them to be an entrepreneur with us. And then, like I said, we look for, very high quality trainers. And then what we try to do is provide an excellent, above and beyond service to create this great experience for our campers. And so we knew that we had to have these things and do it with quality. We didn't want to just grow just to grow. We wanted to do it with quality. And so, people's the answer to that. And so people really started to, fall in love with our trainers, fall in love with the program and the experience. And like I said, it kept growing. And now when we expand into a market, like we just opened up Atlanta, Georgia, we basically, have the leaders, our leaders from our field, which is our trainer side of the business. They get to kind of like apply to have the opportunity to get to open up a new market with us. And we call those elite leaders. And those people basically are a leader in two different cities. They're a leader in their home market, and then they help us grow and expand in a new market like Atlanta, Georgia. So we've been having 20 of those trainer leaders over the past basically 10 months work on opening up Atlanta. They've been flying there, traveling there frequently to recruit new trainers and to basically onboard them and teach them the spirit and the programming of Camp Gladiator that makes us really special and unique. And so we've already launched there just this January, 1,000 campers right off the bat with that great leadership team. But that takes a while to build out because you got to have the right people. We definitely made some mistakes along the way of trying to do things too quickly. And we learned that lesson, pretty early on. And we said, hey, if we're going to open a new market these days, we're going to make sure we do it right. And we're going to make sure we send the right people and the right amount of people to launch successfully. And so, yeah, that's been a great thing for us. And we're excited to continue to do that all over the U.S.
Right. When you think about, before getting into like the landscape of other fitness competitors, potentially, you're working with these trainer partners, you're bringing them on board. How is it that you've been able, you talked a little bit about the brand, you talked a little bit about the culture and having the right people. How are you scaling the programming that people, you're able to maintain that high level of instruction, you're making sure that people are getting results. And at the end of the day, it coincides with what you, Ally, and the leadership team want Camp Gladiator to be in all these different markets.
Yeah. So basically, like, how do we onboard those trainers to make sure they're quality trainers? Is that the question?
Definitely. And then how do you just maintain that? What does that oversight look like over time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's really what takes the most amount of time and energy, especially on our field side of things with our trainers, is making sure we have the right people and that they are, in alignment with what we do at CG and our values and everything like that. And so a quick summary of kind of how we do things is we have a couple different trainer contracts that we have at Camp Gladiator. Our trainers are independent contractors, but essentially when somebody is interested in becoming a partner trainer, which a partner trainer is basically an operator of locations for us, they start off as an affiliate trainer, and basically we get to know them through a pretty long period of time by them co-leading sessions out at camps with our partner trainers. They can be a substitute trainer. And so during that whole time, we're really getting to know them. We're hearing what the campers are saying, the feedback they're giving. They're also, getting feedback and kind of a little bit of motivation and coaching from our partner trainers of just how to continuously, improve out on the field. And then they're getting to basically take part in selling camp and earning commissions. And so they really get to see kind of the business side of that as well. And so the affiliate trainers that are doing a great job and that are being successful, and if it's a good fit in terms of, the culture fit and the values that we're looking for, then those people are given an opportunity to come to Austin for a 3-day academy that we do, which is basically kind of like a trainer workshop that we lead, going over all aspects of the business. And then from that academy, they do another final audition. And along this whole process, we, of course, want to make sure that they know our CG product really well. So we want to make sure that they've been a camper themselves and actually experienced the product firsthand so that they've, gotten to feel what that's like. And so that's kind of part of what we look for, as well as that they're actually attending camp as a camper themselves. And then there's a handful of other things that we look for to make sure it's a good fit. And that at the end of that, process of kind of getting to know them, if it is a good fit, we offer them a partner trainer contract where they're able to open locations with us as an operator of those locations and basically work on a percentage of the profit from the locations. And so they're really partnered with us in making that location successful. And they have mentors that they are able to utilize through our field leadership structure with our area directors and region directors that are able to provide them guidance and coaching to becoming successful. And so, yeah, it's been a really great thing for us. It's obviously taken us 11 years to build it to where it is, but it's able to help ensure that we've got really high quality trainers leading amazing workouts and creating that culture and that experience that we want out at CG.
Yeah, wow, that's the level of focus and purpose and intention that you put into onboarding, recruiting, training these instructors is really incredible. And I think probably part of the secret sauce a little bit, because when at other times when you think about whether it's other franchises or opportunities, partnerships, they just kind of hand it off. They just kind of say, hey, here it is, here's your thing. And if you can get people to come, that's great. But if not, it'll still work out for us potentially. So the level of focus that you're putting into that is really incredible to hear about.
Yeah, it definitely, we say our secret sauce at CG is our trainers. And, the people that we select to be our trainers is the most important thing that we do. And so upholding that is really important. And yeah, there's a lot of different business models out there. Some where you can just become certified in a weekend and then go start, whatever it might be, or you pay some big licensing fee. And it doesn't matter if you have, experience in what you're doing. And so CG is the complete opposite of that. It's definitely us making sure through, pretty long, kind of just time together with these trainers of seeing, hey, is this the right fit for you to where you can be successful? And is this the right fit for us where we can be successful? And it's worked out really well.
Right. And part of this you touched on a little bit, that you're standardizing and kind of removing the operations piece from trainers who ultimately at the end of the day, they want to be trainers. They don't want to be in the office crunching numbers and doing some of those things. But also another piece that I thought was interesting and exceptional with Camp Gladiator was the technology piece. Can you talk about the role that technology plays in the company, even just how people are able to find locations, sign up, and do some of those things as well?
Yeah, it plays a huge role in the company. We are basically a tech-enabled platform for our trainers. And so essentially they can run, our trainers can run their entire business off their iPad at camp. And so they have an ability to actually make sales right there directly on their iPad, whether that's signing people up for camp or even selling gear or other programs we have where they can make commissions off of that. And so they always have a direct point of sale with them at all times. Campers can also check in, whether that be via the trainer iPad or via our app. So campers have an app with those check-ins, it's really cool because that's basically our loyalty program, and they can earn points for coming out and checking into camp. They can also earn points for referring friends, and they can use those points for really cool things like discounts on camp, as well as, they can buy gear with all that. And so they're really very motivated to check in, earn those points. And then we have basically status levels for our campers based on how many check-ins and referrals they have. And the more, higher up their status level is, kind of the more VIP cool perks that they get, throughout that journey. And so that's really cool, motivates our campers very, very much so. And then we have a lot of things that we're currently building right now. A lot of that's on the back end side to help support our trainers, but we help them with a variety of things from, them actually reaching out and communicating to their campers. We're really focusing this year on building our infrastructure that connects trainers to their campers, which is going to be huge. And there's just a variety of things that are constantly, our tech team is constantly building that helps just create an amazing platform that really makes the trainer's life a lot easier. The technology that we have is something that the trainers could not build or have if they were to run their own mom and pop boot camp or to do things on their own. And so it's really pretty cool. And for the locations you can see on our website, obviously they can be found on our app as well. The campers can scroll through and look for their locations, because they can attend any location as much as they want across the entire nation once they sign up for camp. And so there's a lot of that. We also have some additional things that we do throughout the year, like a CG Fit program, which is basically where you can kind of track some things through the app, as well as get like a body fat testing and all that. And then we've got our CG Games, which is our annual fitness competition that we do, that campers are also, really fired up to participate in. So there's a handful of things. And that's really the area where we see, the biggest opportunity as well, is to continue to build out these tools and the infrastructure for our trainers so that they can be successful out on the field, and so that our campers, so that it can be as easy as possible for our campers to get to experience CG.
Right. That's so great. And it's also, you touched on the point that even if you were somehow able as a trainer to scale up, and maybe you have multiple people that are now working for you training, there's no way you're going to be able to build this technology suite where you have the tools, the payments, the signups, registration, all those things that go along with it. You're pretty much just running around and maybe getting people to swipe on a Square reader or taking cash and trying to keep track of who's signed up with punch cards. So that part of the business too is definitely incredible and enabled it to scale to where it is today.
Yeah. And a big part of that too is on the trainer side, the back end tech tools that we provide, they help trainers. It creates an opportunity for trainers to pull different reports, whether that be a camp roster or different information on their campers. And obviously, when I was running this thing 11 years ago, with several hundred campers, and I didn't have the ability to pull reports, everything was done manually on Excel spreadsheets. And it was very challenging. Nowadays we know, wow, in order to be a successful trainer and to have a couple hundred campers, you really need this infrastructure and these tech tools to be able to run that business efficiently and effectively.
Definitely. And so we touched on the piece about the trainers and scaling the operations and even opening new markets. Now kind of shifting gears a little bit and thinking about the landscape of fitness. We mentioned boutique studios, big box gyms. Certainly all the hype and headlines are around connected fitness and hardware at home, $1,000 pieces of equipment plus subscriptions. Then the other side, you look at Camp Gladiator, and part of the reason I wanted to have this conversation is because you're using underutilized spaces. You're bringing people together and spending time outdoors. You're getting an incredible workout. How do you think about where Camp Gladiator fits into this landscape and stands out in the market?
Yeah, so probably one of our biggest things is we make it all about community. And so we really believe that if somebody is plugged into a community and they get to have a great experience while they're working out with people that they know and a trainer who knows their name and knows their background and knows the modifications they need, they're going to be more successful. and they're going to be more likely to come back and more motivated to bring friends. And so getting plugged into that community is a huge part of it. Also, a big part of it is the way that we program our workouts to very much so, make that community presence felt with each camper, but also to make it an experience. I think with a lot of workout programs, it's just about doing the workout. At CG, it's, hey, let's get on a team and let's compete, and let's go, earn a prize, or let's go work against another team and see how we can push ourselves today and see how we can motivate each other. And so it definitely is a very unique experience. And so the community aspect of that is huge. And I think that there's a lot of different fitness options out there. Of course, there's a lot of different ways people can get in shape. But for us, what we've noticed is that community is something that is really kind of has that sticky factor to it. It creates sticky memories. It makes people want to show up. And I think the biggest thing in anybody finding a successful fitness routine is you got to find something that you can stick to, that you want to show up for, because that's the only way you're going to see any type of results from the program. And so that's really a big focus of ours, because we meet in outdoor spaces. So we meet in, shopping mall parking lots at 5 a.m. We'll meet in, in churches and schools, whether that be, a field they have or a parking lot area that they have. We meet in parks. And so we've got morning camps, evening camps all throughout the day. Convenience is another huge factor for us as well, is making sure that we have enough locations offered in the city to make it a very convenient experience for our customers, because we know that even if they do love the experience, love the trainer, they also value 10 extra minutes of sleep. And so we need to make sure that we're conveniently located all over the city to make it a really easy experience for them.
Yeah, speaking of the convenience factor and the locations, how do you think about, as Camp Gladiator continues to grow, how big can this get? Like, what's the vision? Potentially, it sounds like initially, wow, we didn't think it would grow to this scale, the number of partner trainers, certainly the scope of the business. But now, 10 plus years in, looking ahead, what does that roadmap look like?
We're super excited about the opportunity and the potential that Camp Gladiator has. We really believe that this can become one of, if not the largest fitness company in the world, just because we're building it to scale. We're really building infrastructure, and we've got that spirit, that culture about us that people just want to be a part of it. It's a very contagious type of thing. And so the opportunity is huge. We're proving now that we can go to multiple cities. We're in like 17 major cities across the U.S. right now, and it's doing very well in all those cities. And I think the most exciting thing is our flagship market in Dallas, Texas, is really showing us what the potential is. We've got 50,000 campers there at about 2,000 locations just in DFW alone. And so what we want to do is we want to go really deep within every market. We want to have really deep market penetration with lots of trainers, to where we can become really the main staple of fitness in that city. And so that's exactly, what's happened in DFW, and that's really motivated us to continue to expand across the U.S. We're doing very well in large markets like Houston, San Antonio. We, like I said, just opened Atlanta. But the potential is really, it's there. A lot of it is, for us, is creating, like I said, the right support for our trainers so that they can be successful. And so that's where a lot of our focus is building that infrastructure so that we can scale. But we believe that this can be everywhere. We believe that people everywhere need the positive impact that Camp Gladiator brings. And we're really very motivated to continue to grow and expand. So, we get the question a lot, what about the cold weather markets?
Right.
Because we're an outdoor company. And what's really cool is we're kind of figuring that out a lot, and it's already been very successful. We're in the Denver area.
Wow. And
during the cold winter months, our trainers work with, whether that be churches or schools, or rent out, indoor soccer facilities, you name it. we're looking for indoor spaces during the cold winter months. And so that's kind of how we, tackle those markets. And so far that's worked out really, really well. And so that would just mean a matter of moving indoors for 3 to 4 months during the really cold months. Other than that, though, people love being outside. They love being outdoors. And so we'll continue to grow primarily in the southern states initially, but we definitely have plans to tackle the north as well.
A ton of opportunity and certainly a lot to look forward to, continuing to grow into new markets, onboard new trainers, build these technology tools that enables everything on the back end. So really incredible to think about and look ahead to the future of that. Lastly, and we'll get you out of here on this, where can people get in touch, learn more about Camp Gladiator, maybe even connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So campgladiator.com, you can find out all the information about what we do and where we're at. We would love for any listeners out there. We'd love to get the opportunity to meet you and train you. Anybody that's interested in looking for a career in fitness, you can find out information on our website as well. But yeah, we'd love to be in contact, and any questions you guys might have, feel free to shoot us your information via the contact page on our website.
That's great. Well, thanks, Ally, for spending a few minutes and sharing the story with us, and looking forward to continue to follow the future of Camp Gladiator.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's episode. For more from Fit Insider, visit insider.fit.co and subscribe to our weekly newsletter for insights and analysis on the business of fitness and wellness. Then, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.